Yorapung annyeonghaseyo, which means hello everyone in Korean. I am Sofia Lisovyk, and today I'm going to tell you about North Korea. My presentation is divided into several parts. Let's start with general information. North Korea is a country in East Asia. The official title of North Korea is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. It occupies the northern part of the Korean peninsula that is mostly mountainous. North Korea covers about 55% of the peninsula's land area. The country is bordered by China and Russia to the north and by the Republic of Korea, South Korea to the south. The total population in North Korea was estimated at 25.7 million people. The head of the state is Kim Jong-un, and the ruling party is Workers' Party of Korea. The national currency is won, and the national capital is Pyongyang. Pyongyang is a major industrial and transport center. Let's move on to personality and family relationships in North Korea. Very little is known about the personality of North Koreans. It is clear that they are devoted to their country, very modest and not emotional. But there is quite a lot of information about family relations in North Korea. The legal age of marriage is 18 for men and 17 for women, but almost no one marries so early because most men go to the army immediately after school and stay there for at least 6 years. So marrying in one's late 20s or early 30s is quite common. Most marriages seem to be between people in the same rural cooperative or urban enterprise. You could say that arranged marriages have disappeared in favor of love marriages. Although children still ask their parents for permission before they get married. Normally, new leads conduct a small ceremony, invite their friends, family members, neighbors, take a photo if they can afford it, and register their marriage. Wedding ceremonies are much simpler and less costly than in traditional times. There is no feast, no party, and no honeymoon. Even wedding dresses are made of state rationed fabrics, and therefore brides all look more or less alike. Upon marriage, a couple is given a house, or if they live in an urban area, an apartment. Houses are small throughout the country, and that is why having large families are not common. Family size tends to be between 4 and 5 people, and usually no more than 2 generations. Parents often live with their youngest son and his wife. Sons are still more desired than daughters for economic reasons and for continuing the family name. In a household in which both parents work and no grandparents live nearby, infants over 3 months usually are placed in Tiagaso nursery. They remain in this nursery until they are 4 years old. Although Tiagaso are not a part of the compulsory education system, most parents find them indispensable. The nurseries not only free women from child care but also provide infants and small children with the foundation of thorough ideological and political education. A South Korean source reported that when meals are given to the infants, they're expected to give thanks to a portrait of Kim Il-sung, Father Kim Il-sung. But life is not only about work and politics. People do rest, spending their free time with their friends or relatives. North Koreans like cinema, especially Soviet films. Just like everywhere else in the world, North Koreans like visiting each other, dancing, usually in the open air, and strolling. Few people walk at night because there is completely dark in the street once sun goes down. Young people sometimes take advantage of this for courtship. Let's move on to national culture, values, traditions, and gender issues. While the contemporary culture of North Korea has roots in the rich ancient culture of the peninsula, the country's day-to-day ideology has been strongly influenced by Church culture is based on belief in the prodigy of the working class and almost deified personality cult of its leader. The North Koreans are convinced that they are a unique country, unique nation. They're proud to have been born there, and they love their rulers endlessly. There are many holidays in North Korea. The Day of the Sun, the birthday of its founder and the first ruler Kim Il-sung, is the most important holiday. The second most important holiday is the Day of the Shining Star in 16th February, as the birthday of Kim Chen-il. Other holidays of great importance are Party Foundation Day and the Day of the Foundation of the Republic. There are also several holidays which are not related to the birthday of its leader and are not devoted to the parties. For example, Seollul. North Koreans are much better than South Koreans in maintaining traditional customs. On Seollul, a Korean New Year, North Koreans begin with a memorial ceremony for their ancestors. A variety of dishes are prepared, and friends and relatives gather around the table and play Yut-Nori, a traditional board game. North Koreans often schedule their weddings days on important national holidays. Also, an important event for Koreans is a parent's 60th birthday, known as Hwangap. Children are expected to throw a party and provide guests with good food, partly to show their parents how successful they have become. When a North Korean dies, the state provides the relatives with a special allowance of rice and some alcohol, as well as a small sum of money. People are often buried in the mountains, considered the most appropriate final resting place in Korean tradition. North Koreans strictly observe the anniversaries of death. People pan fry cakes and tofu to place on ceremonial table. Pork and fish are also must-have dishes. Moving to the gender issues, women's status is not equal to that of men. In North Korea, women are supposed to have certain mannerisms that are regarded as feminine. For example, they're not supposed to wear trousers unless they're factory workers or agricultural laborers. However, North Korea is one of few countries where women earn more than men. Although it's a male-dominated society, women bring in more than 70% of household income because of their dominance in the unofficial market economy. Let me now turn to typical appearance and clothing. Speaking of the appearance of North Koreans, there are strict rules about how they can look. North Koreans have just 15 styles to choose from when getting their haircut. Married women are instructed to keep their dresses short, while single ladies are allowed to keep their hair a bit longer. Sanctions for dyed hair range from small fine to short-term imprisonment. Men are prohibited from growing their hair longer than 5 centimeters for young men and 7 centimeters for older men. Surprisingly, none of the 15 men's styles appear to match the Kim Chen-in hairstyle. North Koreans are dressed in a very similar way. Most men and women wear suits. Also, sometimes wear hanboks, Korean national dress. Despite the common myth, North Koreans can wear jeans if they can afford them, but they can wear only black jeans because blue jeans are prohibited. Students of all ages wear white shorts, red kerchiefs, and navy pants for boys, or navy skirts for girls. Most people wear clothes made of vinylon, a synthetic fiber produced in North Korea since 1950s. Also, it's required by all adults to wear pins that feature either Kim Il-sung or his son Kim Chen-il, or both. Now we come to local food and must-eat. North Korean cuisine is somehow similar to that of South Korea, but much more mild. The foundation of North Korean meals include cold noodles called naengmyeon, tofu, rice, and porridge. Major food shortages are common in North Korea. The lack of food is largely due to environmental problems such as droughts, flooding, and occasional typhoons. And unlike its southern neighbor, North Korea doesn't have enough arable soil. Also, they do not seem to have candies or sweets for children because sugar is in short supply and regarded as highly luxurious ingredient. Also, food is state regulated and this precludes obtaining any special food. For state-sponsored banquets, food is supplied abundantly, accompanied with nearly endless supply of wines or liqueurs. However, for ordinary people's ceremonies such as 60th birthday, it wouldn't be the case. However, the visitors from overseas are normally given great food to eat, including meat, vegetables, dairy products, and fruit. There are several must-eats in North Korea. The first one is Yeonmyeon. It's an iconic noodle dish that you'll find in every major restaurant. Handmade buckwheat noodles are served cold in a flavored broth of either beef, chicken, or pork before being topped with kimchi, cucumber, slice of meat, and egg. The second one is dolsot bibimbap. It's a simple yet classic example of Korean cuisine where white rice is topped by assorted vegetables, meats, and fried egg, which are then seasoned. And the last one is Korean barbecue. It is a popular style of restaurant where you'll be able to personally grill your own array of meats right there at the table with a built-in gas. It's a large format meal, and that is why you should try Korean barbecue with a group of friends. Now let's move on to medical care in North Korea. There is a lot of contradictional information about healthcare in North Korea. The DPRK government states that it provides medical care to all citizens for free, although the weak states that it is provided only for those who can pay. In general, according to Amnesty International, the entire healthcare system in North Korea is fully funded by the government, with most medical equipment in poor condition and without reliable water and electricity supply. The lack of equipment and medicines mean that many operations are performed without anesthesia. According to Amnesty International, the DPRK government spent the least on healthcare, less than $1 per person. Patients usually pay for basic consultations with cigarettes, alcohol, or food, and most North Koreans do not see a doctor for checkups and operations because they do not have enough money. Instead, they go to a pharmacy and buy medicines or painkillers, although this is potentially dangerous. Most North Koreans are unable to pay for treatment. Most hospitals operate without electricity and heating, as I already said. Nevertheless, significant efforts of this country in terms of health are noticeable. Indeed, North Korea recently conducted a vaccinations campaign against measles, although soon after birth the baby is vaccinated against tuberculosis. Although the DPRK's health system is not in great shape, vaccinations are performed, which is rare for such a poor country. Speaking about coronavirus, North Korean media claims that the country has not seen any case of COVID-19. North Korea for months now has continued to argue that country is a clean land free of coronavirus. Despite such claim, however, it appeared that Pyongyang is still maintaining its strict and anti-pandemic and quarantine measures following the Politburo meeting that saw the issue placed top at the agenda. Now let's talk about housing in North Korea. Reconstruction of houses after the Korean War was given high priority and dwellings have improved considerably. Rural huts have been replaced by brick buildings. Urban housing is classified into 5 groups that range from one room with a half-sized kitchen to freestanding houses with garden. Workers or wage earners are expected to live in apartments rather than houses, and housing projects are supported almost solely by the government. Heating systems in the apartments and urban water supplies are in a poor condition. Numerous high-rise buildings have been constructed in large cities, especially in Pyongyang. People cannot purchase apartments or houses. The government own all real estate and give everyone rights to occupy a home free of cost. The location, size, and quality of home depends on your job. Nobody is homeless and nobody is begging. Good work performance allows you to move to a better home. I would like to draw your attention to typical tourist accommodations. It's not possible for tourists to stay in hostel type accommodation, so the hotel that is usually used in Pyongyang is the deluxe class Yanggakdo Hotel. The hotel is located in isolated island. It is a Western three-star equivalent, and the hotel is equipped with bars, restaurants, swimming pool, karaoke, and even casino. Also, the hotel has reliable electricity, heating, air conditioning, hot water, and even foreign TV channels, including BBC World and Japanese and Chinese TV channels. Another popular option is Koryo Hotel. The Koryo Hotel is located very close to the main railway station in Pyongyang. Staying here means that you will be surrounded by lots of sights and will be able to see locals. On the top floor you will find two restaurants. On the lower floor you can enjoy the swimming pool, the spa, and the karaoke. You will also find a number of bars there. There is also a small supermarket when you can buy the local food. Also, there is a souvenir shop. You can buy postcards, pins, and other stuff that will be a good souvenir for your friends. There are some slightly cheaper options in Pyongyang, but the drop in standards in general not worth the reduction in cost. The hotels that are used outside of Pyongyang are less well developed and have temperamental supplies of electricity and hot water. However, there are some spectacular hotels in other places in North Korea, such as the traditional Korean-style Minsok Hotel in Kaesong and pyramidal Hyangsang Hotel near Mount Myeongyang. The next part of my presentation is transport infrastructure. North Korea is proud of having about 6,000 kilometers of railways compared with only 3,250 kilometers in South Korea, but the North infrastructure is in dangerous state that slow down the trains, while southern trains are running at 350 kilometers per hour in full safety. Routes in North Korea are estimated to be about 30,000 kilometers, of which only 5% paved. North Korea does have own automobile manufacturers, Sangri and Pyeonghwa, producing several hundred cars per year. Some sources say that any citizen is allowed to have own car. Other sources say that all cars are owned by the political elite and are driven but not owned by privileged citizens. Video filmed by tourists shows a lot of cars in Pyongyang, but outside the city, cars are a rare sight due to lack of fuel stations. River transportations plays an important role in moving agricultural products, minerals, and passengers. Air services are controlled by Air Force. Flights are maintained between the largest cities, and international services connect Pyongyang with Beijing and Moscow. Sonan International Airport is located northwest in Pyongyang. Speaking of public transport, Koreans have few options to choose from. The Pyongyang Metro that was opened in 1933 is an iconic site that most tourists travel on. It has two lines and provides extremely cheap travel, a few cents per journey to workers of Pyongyang. The metro is the deepest in the world. It buried 100 meters below the surface. All 17 subway stations in Pyongyang have names like Rehabilitation, Triumphant Return, Paradise, or Glory. Due to the lack of oil in the country, most of the public transport systems in Pyongyang are electric. The Pyongyang trolleybus is another iconic site, and it's often and it is often very full. Finally, let's talk about must-see sites. Your itinerary will be decided by North Korean authorities, and you'll have two guides with you the whole time. Your guides will take you to see a lot of things: museums, monuments, transport systems, factories, park, and artistic performances. All the sites are supposed to be painting a positive picture of the country, but you will find yourself seeing a lot of the country as you drive in between these places and on the streets around them. Most of the main sites of North Korea are in the capital, Pyongyang, and this is where the shorter trips will focus their time. The highlights of the capital are the Kamsosan Memorial Palace. This is the mausoleum of the country's founder Kim Il-sung. Chuchya Tower. The tower is about 170 meters high and has an elevator to the top. It gives a great view of all Pyongyang. The Revolutionary Cemetery. The War Memorial at the top of hill for those who died fighting the Japanese. The Triumphal Arch, initially built to be 3 meters higher than in Paris. It is the world's largest Arc de Triomphe. It will be hard to avoid seeing this as you drive around the city. And the Victorious Fatherland Liberation War Museum. This is interesting for the exhibition, but also more so to but even more so to understand how the propaganda system works in North Korea. Getting outside Pyongyang will be harder, but here are some highlights. DMZ, Demilitarized Zone. You can visit the demilitarized zone also from South Korea, but it will be fun to wave tourists from the North Korean side. West Sea Barrage. This is an 8-kilometer dam built during the 1980s and is industrial pride and joy of North Korea. So, what makes this place so special to visit? What doesn't make this place so special to visit? North Korea is a very controversial country. It's unique in many ways. It's very interesting to read about it, but it's much more interesting to visit it. What you see there is definitely shocking to most people in the Western world. North Korea is the most closed country and also one of the poorest. However, those who miss the USSR can find many similarities between these countries. This is where people will appreciate the freedom they have in their country. After a trip to North Korea, life will certainly not be the same. Also, this is a good reason to explore Asia.